Hello! You are listening to Talking Out of Slot, the podcast about having fun with toy cars. I'm Scott.
And I'm Nick. And this week it's Tales of the Unexpected.
Tales of the Unexpected.
And we're dancing.
Look, for those not familiar of what that is, that's a 1970s, I think, TV series, which was Roald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected. Little short plays, and then the opening credits with a sort of invisible naked woman dancing behind a whiskey decanter, I think. But that's just my memory. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about naked women or whiskey decanters. We're talking about unexpected slot cars. By which we mean cars we'd really like to see, but we don't think anybody's going to make them. And by anybody, we mean ready-to-run manufacturers. None of this having to make it or print it nonsense. So that's, you can make and print anything. Anyway, so them's the rules. We're partly inspired, ironically, or not ironically, counterintuitively, by the fact that there have been a few unexpected cars recently. For me, the Volvo estate from Scalextric was unexpected, and for Nick?
I think somebody asking more than 100 quid for a Porsche 928, which doesn't have an awful lot of race history, but I'm sure Le Mans Miniatures will make a very pretty thing. But didn't really see that coming.
I would like one of them, but that's I'm trying to resist buying that at the minute. But anyway, so I guess there's that. Although we think it's really unlikely or unexpected to go back to that word, there's just that sliver of hope, and we know what happens. It's the hope that kills you. So without further ado, we're going to dive in. Nick, what's your first unexpected slot car?
So we've got three each, haven't we? So I'm going to go for anyone that knows me from Slot Forum or anywhere to do with slot cars knows that I've had a beef. I've had a beef, Scott.
Have you? Is it a beef or a bee in your bonnet? I don't know.
Well, it's both, really.
It's both.
It might even be a whole cow in my bonnet by now, not just a side of beef, the whole damn thing. Because there is one rally car that has never ever been available, whether you had to, assemble it yourself with a resin body or whether it was just a fully finished product. And that is the 1995 World Championship for Manufacturers 2-litre winning, slightly, Skoda Felicia Kit Car. They started the year with the Favorit, and then they introduced the Volkswagen infused Felicia about 3/4 of the way through the season. So they won the championship, and nobody's ever made the Felicia. Faro, the Czech manufacturer that did the lovely 1/28 scale Favorit, did do a prototype Felicia Kit Car, and it was front-wheel drive, like the real thing. But that never materialised, and that was 15, no, more than that, 18 years ago that they had that on display on their website. So nobody's done it.
Nobody's done it.
Despite my hectoring, my ranting and railing from the sidelines, clearly somebody out there in Slotland has decided, no, it's okay to have one slot rally car that you cannot get. We've even seen a Morris Marina this week, a Morris Marina fastback that you can make yourself. You can't make a Skoda Felicia Kit Car.
Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, the Marina was interesting until you looked closely, and then it was a horror show. Somebody had taken a very expensive old Airfix kit and done a not great job of turning it into a slot car. But anyway,
painted it using a fire hose.
Yeah, from a distance. So, who would you like, if this was going to be made, who would you like to see make it?
Well, I think for me the standard is set by SRC. It would obviously be a slightly wide Skoda Felicia Kit Car. but it would be very pretty, and everyone would look at it and go, "Oh, that's nice."
Okay.
Is it a little Mark One Golf? No, it's not, because it's got a funny little radiator.
Okay. And there was you saying you wouldn't pay over £100 for a 928 from a more
No,
miniature.
SRC is,
It's
affordable. It's affordable.
it's affordable if you're rich enough. Yeah. Okay.
Or if you
Um.
go direct to their website, and they've got
Well,
special offer on.
Well, I know some listeners like to play a game where they're literally chalking off the first mentions of things, and you mentioning a rally car is one of the ones that they wait for, and there we are, straight in at the top of the show.
It
I'm
has
going
to be, but it is my last one, so that's
to,
okay.
well, I'm going to get them drunk because I'm coming up with one now, which is the first one on my list is the Vauxhall Chevet HS or HRS or HSR, I should say, which was a late 70s. So Vauxhall UK brand owned by General Motors became more and more the same as Opel in Europe, but we had different front ends basically, and somehow or other, in the last vestiges of that independence, they still had an independent competitions wing, and so we had this UK Vauxhall Chevet rally car, even though there was a cadet doing stuff in Europe. And it was quite a pretty thing at the time, and it had lovely little sort of escort-esque arches, and it had some heroes driving it, like Tony Pond and Terry Cabey. And I remember watching rally reports on Saturday morning television, and it was great. At least it wasn't an escort. I kind of hated escorts then because everybody was running escorts. Escorts seemed to win everything. So anything that wasn't an escort got my thumbs up. One of the downsides of it being, well, one of the downsides, it's a UK only car. It didn't really win anything internationally, I don't think. The liveries, the official ones, were either silver with some thin stripes or white with even fewer thin stripes, with one exception, which is where the real chink of hope sits, is that there was an Andrews Heat for Hire livery because Russell Brooks ran it. Now we've had Andrews Heat for Hire livery on the Escort, on the Sunbeam, and even on a Manta. So there is track record that Andrews Heat for Hire, lovely bright yellow, blue, green stripes, sells. So I'm hoping that SCX, and I want it to be SCX because they did the Sunbeam and the Mark II Escort. I want SCX to make me a Chevette, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I do love the Chevette. My one of my mates growing up, his mum had a regular Chevette in maroon, which was a pretty thing. But I because you have to be one of two camps, don't you? Allegedly, you can be Ford or you can be GM. So in Britain, it would be Ford or Vauxhall. But actually, I love both from that era. I love Magnums and Vivas and everything almost as much as I love my Capris and my Cortinas.
Oh, right. Well, you see, I was a BL boy, so, that was all filthy foreign muck, really. That's Fords and GM. And look what's happened since. The world's gone to hell in a handcart. Anyway, swerving, handbrake turn, Scandinavian style into the next. What's your next one?
So my next one is, it's Australian. It's Australian, Scott. I can't get enough of the Aussie stuff that we get over here anyway, as it is. But there's one car which I think is completely iconic and also quite unique. So the likelihood of anyone actually deciding they could turn a profit from making an RTR one is fairly small, which is the 1984 Holden VK Commodore Group C car. So Group C in Australia, of course, because they're upside down, means something completely different to what it meant to the rest of us who meant Porsche 956s and Lancias and stuff. For them, it was Holdens and it was Fords. And I just loved watching Bathurst when it was on. So this is 84 and it would have been on Grandstand, just sort of 10 minutes here or there through the course of the show. And so we had heady cams, so the camera in the headlight, never seen that before. Drivers talking to the commentators during the race, never seen that before. And there was this gigantic Marlboro coloured saloon, just a great big wedge of like testosterone there it was, massive arches, um, Peter Brock driving it, and it was just perfect. Peter Brock and Larry Perkins, I think, that year. So it was basically more Australian than Ayers Rock or whatever it's called these days.
Or yes, whatever it's called. The and yeah, I think it's a good choice actually because I agree with you. Although there was an '80s car, it had a very '70s vibe about it. Wasn't it? Very three box, slightly pointy front end, big arches, big boot spoiler, and that sort of iconic Marlboro livery with a sort of big red chevrons on it. So yeah, almost anything looks good in that livery. Did it? Were there any other ones? Was it very briefly? Was that it? Was it kind of a
There
quick
were
flurry?
other VKs, but I have a feeling, and I'm sure that many ones of Australians will message us on this, but I'm pretty sure that the HDT ones that Brock ran were slightly special.
Okay. And who would you like to make it?
I would like that to be made by Slotted
Oh, now that's an interesting
because
shot and right.
it just sort of would fit with the Godzilla Nissan as a slightly unlikely car for Slotted to make, which doesn't really have anything to
Yeah.
compete against in the Slotted range. So
Yeah.
people
No.
will stick it in with their DTM cars, and there'll be many arguments in many slot racing clubs over eligibility, and that's just amusing.
No, only at Farnborough are all those sort of.
So
No,
get me stuff.
everyone else just goes and races toy cars. That's as simple as that.
I think you'll find, Scott, if you look at the forums, they don't.
I know. I live in
The
hope.
time spent on slot car arguments as opposed to actually driving the damn things is
It's all
massive.
wrong. It's all wrong. Right. Anyway, dodging another controversy, I'm going to move on to my second pick, which Dave Slaughter will be depressed to learn is another rally car. And that's because we haven't got enough rally cars. We haven't got enough non-Spanish rally cars, and there is the rub. So the next one for my list is one of the ugliest, least successful cars ever, and it's the Citroen BX 4TC, which was apparently a Group B car. So whilst there were 6R4s and Lancia Deltas and Peugeot 205s and things of myth and wonder, Citroen managed to not get the memo. So they took the Citroen BX, which was a five-door family hatch for a start, not a tiny shopping car, and they kept the engine in the front, way at the front, a bit like Audi, I suppose. As someone once described, the Audi Quattro was a triumph of engineering over science. But anyway, or engineering over physics, that's what it was. Anyway, so they did that, and it was late, and it was all lumpy and bumpy, which wasn't a problem. And then it made its debut on the Monte Carlo Rally 1986. If you find a picture of it not understeering, there's a major prize available because it just plowed. I've never seen it not understeering. Anyway, I think from memory, I think it did that badly. It was painted white as well, just to help its hideous ugliness. This is all the more amazing.
I don't think it ever turned out again, did it? I think it just did the Monty.
Well, I've got a memory which I haven't checked because, of course, it's talking utter slot. We don't worry about facts. I think it entered the Acropolis, which was the Greek rally, but maybe I'm just fantasizing on that one. I know it did some rallycross afterwards, but that doesn't really count. So, and it was white. I mean, it was very white, and it was very ugly, and it was very unsuccessful. So even though Citroën went on to be, kings of rallying, many fabulous cars looking fabulous and great liveries with great drivers, this was not one of them. But I want one because it's a Group B car, and we all love a failure, don't we? The ugly duckling.
I've got a feeling, Scott, you're going to get your wish.
Oh.
I just have got a
Is
feeling in the water, Scott.
Is it Panto season, and are you going to grant my wish, Dick Whittington? You shall have a Citroen BX.
I was thinking with like SRC building lots of Group B cars and lots of Group B cars taking part in competition. Somebody somewhere is going to look at that car and go, those proportions are. They could make a really
Well, this
really
is
quick slot car.
that's the thing, actually. As a slot car, it loses most of its disadvantages, doesn't it, as a real car? Well, I was SRC's instinct. I was going to plump for Avant slot because
Yeah.
actually they're doing a few oddball cars, so maybe they would get Avant slot one. So there you go. That's my second one. Right, third one.
Third one, it's another touring car. So there you go.
Yep.
It is the Mitsubishi Starion,
Well, when you say
which,
touring cars, so yeah, yeah.
yes, in the days when touring cars could be sort of coupes but weren't, and it's all in homologation. And as Tom Walkinshaw would say with the XJS, it's a grey area.
Well, let's just put it this way: the grey area on the XGS was a great deal bigger because actually it was quite a long car. Because I think
And it had another fuel tank in it.
yes, one of the
In the
regulations
grey
I think
area.
yeah, one of the regulations I think for touring cars at the time was that they should have a usable back seat, which which was defined. I think was it a distance from the pedal to the seat back. I think from me, I may be wrong. Anyway, so God knows how they got the Mitsubishi Starion, and of course, to be entirely to spread a malicious rumor because in my early days of my career, which was in the 80s, it was a firmly held belief that the Mitsubishi Starion was so named because someone misheard a Japanese person saying stallion over the phone, and that's how we got Starion. Mitsubishi strenuously deny this. But if you look to Mitsubishi's recent history, you'll see they strenuously didn't tell the truth about a couple of things as well. So, anyway. Anyway, I've interrupted you. You want paint a picture for those who don't know.
It was a very handsome little car. It was sort of a glass back coupe. It was turbocharged, and it was one of the original turbo touring car that came out in the early line Group A. I think it first appeared at late 86 and was 86, 87 time. Same time that Ford, before the Sierra Cosworth, was running the XR4 Ti, which was the Ford Mercure. Yeah, so just it was a slightly odd time because people were moving from like big cars without turbos to smaller capacity turbo stuff, and there was probably not much smaller than the Starion.
Well, it was. I think they were looking anything with a turbo was basically what they were scrabbling for, wasn't it? Anything with a turbo.
Yeah. So in the BTCC, Dave Brody ran one in '87. There was one in the World Touring Car Championship. There were a few around, and then in 1990, when 2-litre what became Super Touring Group A cars were being made, Mitsubishi UK or GB, whichever it was at the time, just took the turbo off it and ran a Starion for Mark Hales to drive, which was run by John Maguire's team. And my dad had recently retired from his day job and was doing odds and sods for Silverstone and stuff like that. But he went and got his truck driving license because he'd never had one and he wanted to do it. And he ended up driving the transporter for John Maguire and taking this car everywhere, and also being a wheel changer when required. So I've got footage of my dad on grandstand in 1990 when Mark comes in after bursting a tyre somewhere and he sticks a new wheel on it. So it's kind of a thing for it's sponsored by Firestone in that year. And it's just, yeah, I think it's a pretty car. It's one you can get several liveries out of. And now that we've got that era RX-7 and the Celica coming out from Scale Electric this year with both competition ones and movie ones, I don't know. There is a famous movie Starion because I did buy a Japanese kit. It's a famous Japanese movie in Japan.
Okay.
And there was a high-tech Starion, black, sort of like Knight Rider.
Yes, actually, this is ringing a bell. Yes, yeah. I remember.
So there is a 1/32 scale plastic kit, snap pics of that, which I did have for a while. But then I'm just the whole idea of building it as a slot car just overcame me, and I sold it.
So who would you like to see make this? If it was,
I think this is one for Scale Electric because it would go with the RX-7 and the Celica.
yeah, that makes sense.
And also, it would go with the Sierras and the BMW M3s and all that era.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking maybe Revo slot because they've just announced their sort of racing RX-7, haven't they? So although that was a bit earlier, I think. But yeah. Okay, good. In a minute we're going to pick the one. If we just had to pick one, we've got to pick one because that's the way fairy tales work, isn't it? So. And I'm suddenly remembering a cartoon I saw about a cat answering a genie when it offered it 3 wishes, and I can't repeat it because we'll get taken off YouTube. Anyway, I might put it on the screen though. So my final one is also a touring car-ish, stretching the definition a little bit. It's a Peugeot 806. Which, for those who are not intimate with the Peugeot naming structure, that was their 7-seat people carrier, mummy bus, people mover thing. And in a move which I would have been proud of making myself, I think it was mid-90s, 95, Peugeot Belgium decided that it would be a good idea to build a super touring version of it and enter it into the Spa 24 Hours, which they did. They had to convince various people that it qualified for the rules, and they managed that. It met all the criteria. And they built it and ran it. And people were a bit sniffy, saying it'll never work, it's all too high and all that kind of thing. And I think it qualified, from memory, it was third or something. It was quite high up. So it was a bit kind of like, see, not really a joke. Unfortunately, new car project, first race, it didn't last very long, but long enough to get what I presume the person who came up with the idea really wanted, which is a picture of it from the inside of the hairpin with the sort of famous buildings behind it and the shot you get of endless Grand Prix and endurance cars. Here's this 806 covered in, actually, one of the reasons it might get made is it's covered in very bright decals, and it looks good because it's kind of super touring, slammed to the ground, wheels slightly up in the arches. So yeah, that'd be good. I mean, as a slot car, it would probably fall over a lot if you took the magnet out, but who knows? And like you, for your last one, I'm going to suggest it's this electric car because I think they're starting to do, as we said just with your last one, they're starting to do some of those old touring cars and they seem to be successful. So that would be, a people carrier would be.
We just need to raid the IMCDB, the Internet Movie Car Database, just to make sure that they can get some spin-offs out of it.
I think this one's the one which has got absolutely, I think there was one, it did one race and that was it. And then got parked in a museum. So I don't think there's any run-ons. I mean, you could always paint it in Gulf colours, I suppose. Repsol sells some in Spain. These things are taken as red. That's just, that's going to happen, isn't it? So, time to narrow it down. For me, I'll give you a little more thinking time. For me, the Chevette. I really want a Chevette made by SCX. Please. I'll buy all of them. Well, not all of them. I mean, one of each livery, but you know what I mean.
Fair enough. And yeah, I would be defrauding myself, Scott, and all those who have tolerated my many online rants for the past 20 years, if I was not to say the Skoda Felicia Kit Car needs to be made. Just, purely because it's the only one.
It's the only one. Well, it can be only one. And it did, as you say, it did win the World Championship. And was it driven, am I getting this right, was it driven by Blomqvist in the RAC?
It was to third place overall on the RAC rally against four-wheel drive turbocharged car.
Yeah, see, it's a little secret. I just wonder if that on the shelf appeal, when sort of auntie or daddy are looking to buy something and you're sort of scanning along and there's bright orange Supra and whatever and then you come to a white with green bits Skoda. It's going to be a tough sell, isn't it? But maybe. But I hopefully.
When I first got back from Bahrain, having lived over there for a while, I needed a car, and I bought a Skoda Felicia because obviously I'd had one. I worked for the team. I'll declare that interest. So in that period, I was working for Skoda Motorsport, and that was my daily bread was earned off that car. And I bought a Felicia, and of which there are now 15, I think, left.
Ooh.
In the country, and I called it Bunton because it was the smallest and least obvious of the Spice Girls, but actually stayed cute for a lot longer than you thought it.
Oh. Very good. Oh dear, we have to finish there because I don't. we're not going to top that one. A Skoda called Bunton, excellent. Right. Anyway, thank you for that. Thank you for listening. If you've got ideas, stick them in the comments. Send them on a strap to the leg of a pigeon. Whatever you want to do, get in touch. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back with you again soon. Bye. They can't hear you waving your hands, Nick.
Oh, bye.